20. Thus much I know by the report of the people of Delphi. But the Milesians add to this that Periander the son of Cypselos, being a special guest friend of Thrasybulus the then despot of Miltos, heard of the oracle which had been given to Aletes, and sending a messenger told Thrasybulus, in order that he might have knowledge of it beforehand and take such counsel as the case required. This is the story told by the Milesians. 21. And Aletes, when this answer was reported to him, sent a herald forthwith to Miltos, desiring to make a truce with Thrasybulus and the Milesians for so long a time as he should be building the temple. He then was being sent as envoy to Miltos. And Thrasybulus in the meantime being informed beforehand of the whole matter and knowing what Aletes was meaning to do, contrived this device. He gathered together in the marketplace all the store of provisions which was found in the city, both his own and that which belonged to private persons. And he proclaimed to the Milesians that on a signal given by him they should all begin to drink and make merry with one another. 22. This Thrasybulus did and thus proclaimed to the end that the herald from Sardis, seeing a vast quantity of provisions carelessly piled up, and the people feasting, might report this to Aletes. And so on fact it happened. For when the herald returned to Sardis after seeing this and delivering to Thrasybulus the charge which was given to him by the king of Lydia, the peace which was made, came about, as I am informed, merely because of this. For Aletes, who thought that there was a great famine in Miltos and that the people had been worn down to the extreme of misery, heard from the herald, when he returned from Miltos, the opposite to that which he himself supposed. And after this the peace was made between them on condition of being guest friends and allies to one another, and Aletes built 2 temples to Athena to Sessos in place of one, and himself recovered from his sickness. With regard then to the war waged by Aletes with the Milesians and Thrasybulus, things went thus. 23. As for Periander, the man who gave information about the oracle to Thrasybulus, he was the son of Cypselos, and despot of Corinth. In his life, say the Corinthians, and with them agree the Lesbians, there happened to him a very great marvel, namely that Arion of Methema was carried ashore at Taenaran upon a dolphin's back. This man was a harper second to none of those who then lived, and the first, so far as we know, who composed a dithyramb, naming it so and teaching it to a chorus at Corinth. 24. This Arion, they say, who for the most part of his time stayed with Periander, conceived a desire to sail to Italy and Sicily. And after he had there acquired large sums of money, he wished to return again to Corinth. He set forth therefore from Taras, and as he had faith in Corinthians more than in other men, he hired a ship with a crew of Corinthians. These, the story says, when out in open sea, formed a plot to cast Arion overboard and so possess his wealth. And he having obtained knowledge of this made entreaties to them, offering them his wealth and asking them to grant him his life. With this however he did not prevail upon them, but the men who were conveying him bade him either slay himself there, that he might receive burial on the land, or leap straightway into the sea. So Arion being driven to a strait entreated them that, since they were so minded, they would allow him to take his stand in full minstrel's garb upon the deck of the ship and sing. And he promised to put himself to death after he had sung. They then, well pleased to think that they should hear the best of all minstrels upon earth, drew back from the stern towards the middle of the ship. And he put on the full minstrel's garb and took his lyre, and standing on the deck performed the Orthian measure. Then as the measure ended, he threw himself into the sea just as he was, in his full minstrel's garb. And they went on sailing away to Corinth, but him, they say, a dolphin supported on its back and brought him to shore at Taenaran. And when he had come to land he proceeded to Corinth with his minstrel's garb. Thither having arrived he related all that had been done. And Periander, doubting of his story, kept Arion in guard and would let him go nowhere, while he kept careful watch for those who had conveyed him. When these came, he called them and inquired of them if they had any report to make of Arion. And when they said that he was safe in Italy and that they had left him at Tara's faring well, Arion suddenly appeared before them in the same guise as when he made his leap from the ship. And they, being struck with amazement, were no longer able to deny when they were questioned. This is the tale told by the Corinthians and Lesbians alike. And there is at Taenaran a votive offering of Arion of no great size, namely a bronze figure of a man upon a dolphin's back.